Hey guys, this is Allison with yet another chess analysis. It's been a while. Finally got my rating back up to 1500, and I thought I'd do this analysis. This is of a 10-minute game, no increments. So I played white, and I started with, I think, king's pawn opening. Um, he replied, I don't know what this is called, but you normally push this pawn and then you push this pawn and then you push this pawn two up to sort of dominate the center. And I just do my standard opening for white, and he's getting ready to push this pawn here. So I bring this knight out to add further pressure on this white square here, with my knight attacking this square, this bishop, and this pawn also attacking. So now it takes away the incentive for him to really push for the center. So I think what he's doing here is he's pushing this pawn, getting ready to push the b7 pawn to try and kick my bishop. So this kind of forces me to push a2 so that I can hide my bishop here. If I don't push a2, then when he pushes b7, this forces my bishop down here, and then he traps it by pushing c5. So if say for instance I didn't push a2 and then he pushed b7, that would I would probably take it. So and with what I guess I would probably take it with the bishop. Reason being is that he's got pawns on all the white squares, which kind of really takes away the power of my light square bishop. So I push this pawn here so I can have a nice eye down on this on his king side. It looks as well, given how he's pushed his pawns on his queen side, that he's not going to castle queen side. So I'd like to keep my light square bishop just eyeing down on this diagonal. Okay, so interesting. He pushes this pawn, not sure why. I carry on development. Okay, standard. Now, the fact that he pushed this pawn here is probably to protect against the knight coming around here, or the bishop coming around here. If he were to push his knight out to f6, then it avoids the bishop moving to pin the knight to the queen. So yeah, okay, standard. Bring the bishop out, putting further pressure on the center. I'm actually looking to push my queen up to d2 next. So if he does castle kingside, I have a really nice incentive to take this pawn now, because he's already weakening his kingside by pushing h7. Okay, so yeah, looks like he's getting ready to castle kingside, and I of course move my queen. Okay, he's pretty much... Now, I've pushed this pawn here, looking to really start doing a pawn storm on his kingside if he does castle kingside, which it looks like it. And let's see what he does. Okay, so he pushes this pawn here, what I was expecting before. I'm just going to kick my bishop back all the way. Still keeping that there. He can, of course, try and close it off. That's certainly possible. He can push this pawn here, and then I can just take. He takes back, but then it also opens up my queen line, so not exactly a good idea. Okay, so he castles kingside, and I, of course, yeah, I take it. I am looking to... the bishop is worth 3 points. I'm giving up 3 points for 2 in terms of position. I'm hoping that once I take this pawn and he takes back, I'll take back, and then I can just do a pawn storm. His knight right now is protecting this light square. I'm thinking that by the time my queen gets here, if I can somehow kick this knight, my light square knight can move to g5 and really threaten h7 mate. But of course he's got, you know, two defenders for g5, so just something to think about. So yes, I take, he takes back, I take. Okay, so now he brings this out, really threatening my knight here. I was actually considering letting him take it. Probably it's not a good idea if he takes this knight, because then after pawn takes, I would then look to moving rook to g1 check. And it's, I mean, I think that would be possible. I think, would that be mate? Kind of, yes. Because after, if knight takes, pawn takes, and then, I don't know, if he does some redundant move, then rook check forces the knight to come here, defending, and then rook takes check. So bishop is forced, and then it's just force mate from there, I believe. So obviously very, very bad if that happens. But I can't remember what I did. This is all hinging on the fact that the knight would take my knight, which I don't think he would do. I'm also, I mean, there's some other things to think about as well. If this knight were to move, like for instance, when I've played this position before, this knight moves to h7, looking to then follow up with bishop to g5, trying to trap my queen, and also trying to like make me lose momentum with the position. So that's something I need to be careful about. But also, I mean, sometimes I've played this position where this knight has moved, and this pawn is not here, or this knight has moved here to try and give some protection to the king. And with this pawn not here, the bishop is still eyeing down here. I end up taking the knight here with check, and he can't take my queen because of the bishop pin on the king. So yeah, okay, so I decided I would just take. It allows me to, I was thinking I would screw up his center. I would also make this light square bishop like pretty useless as well if I were to really put a stop to these pawns by doubling them. Fianchetting the bishop to the light square diagonal is, I think, going to not really do much at all. So I thought position-wise, it's probably better for me not to have doubled pawns and to just take his knight and then screw his center, and at the same time still keep my light square diagonal attack on the king. Okay, so I take, he takes back, and now I start with my pawn storm. Okay, so now he moves here as I was expecting. I'm expecting him to move the bishop here and then try and force to like develop while chasing my queen around the board. So this is potentially bad, but I decided, you know, let's just keep pushing and also prevent the bishop coming down here. Also keep the knight kind of trapped, protecting the king. That was what I was thinking as well. And here, by his moving the bishop here, I'm fully expecting he's adding further protection to the king, protecting this diagonal here, possibly looking to move the bishop here. So I'm thinking I will probably continue with my pawn storm. If I push my pawn here, his bishop will come here. But the point of my pushing the pawn here was I wanted to keep the knight trapped in this corner. So I push the pawn, bishop moves back, protecting the king, and I'm fine with that. I'll move back. So now I've moved my queen back. I'm looking to actually keep consolidating, move the queen back here, maybe castle kingside, and then bring this rook over here. And once the queen has moved here, this pawn is free to keep being pushed as well. That was at least my hope. Okay, so he's moved his bishop here. I'm not quite certain what he's planning with that. It seemed a bit of a redundant move. I would have thought that perhaps he might, I don't know, perhaps want to move to this diagonal if that, well, for some reason he can remove this center pawn. Perhaps if he moves this light square bishop to b7 and then follow that with pushing c5, then that would remove the defender. If I were to take with d3, then that leaves the center pawn e4 exposed, and then he could take e4. That's of course assuming that I would take with d3. Okay, so anyway, he moved his bishop here. I'm looking to consolidate, also looking to castle later. Also looking to later push this pawn. I can't push it right now because otherwise the knight will just take the pawn because the queen is supporting, and I only have one defender. So I need to keep this guy in play. Okay, so I guess this was his rationale for moving the bishop here, adding further protection to his king. His king's looking, I don't know, somewhat safe right now. But you can sort of see, right? He's got, looks like 4 pieces now that are out of play. Well, definitely 3. This rook, this bishop, and this knight are definitely going nowhere unless he decides he wants to sacrifice something in order for some freedom of movement. But I don't think he wants to sacrifice anything at all. If he, I don't know, were to take with this knight, I'd take back with a pawn, and this opens up the rook file. So obviously a bad idea, and I think a very bad position. Anyway, I decide that I don't have, I mean, given what I want to do, I can, I guess, try and push this pawn 2 spaces, but I don't really see the point of that, because then that ruins the fact that I tried so hard to give him double pawns, and it also gives his dark squared bishop some power. So I obviously don't want that to happen. So I thought this knight here is kind of redundant. It's kind of crap where it is right now. And if I were to move this pawn to d5, well, obviously d5 is protected by this pawn here and this queen, so obviously a very bad idea. So I decided, okay, this knight's not in play, I should move that. Another redundant piece here is the rook, but I can easily bring that out once I castle kingside, which I'm definitely planning on doing. So I moved the knight. I'm preparing to go knight jump to g3 and then knight to h5, but this is something I mean, I'm also thinking of knight to f6, which then kind of screws him if he were to take it. So knight to f6 check, I don't think he should take it, because then pawn takes, and then that opens up the line. So the issue for him is he obviously doesn't want to open a file for me, because then I'll just like, what's that called? Do a cannon or something, and I'll just do a rook attack, double up my rooks and my queen, and just kill his kingside. Okay, so looks like by him moving his rook here, he's looking to push the pawn, adding further support to attacking c4. I'm more focused on bringing my knight over, and of course he pushes the pawn. Now here I think I stuffed up. I'm not 100% yet. I was thinking more so that if I were to take this pawn here, um, uh, it prevents me from castling queen side. That's true. Um, Not only that, it opens up the queen file. I could fight the open file by bringing the rook over, which is what is possible. But I was also thinking that it weakens my e4 pawn. And I was thinking as well that if I were to take the pawn, he takes back and it blocks my bishop line. So I decided instead, how about I try and kill two birds with one stone? I'll castle queenside, protecting the d3 pawn. Um, and so if he were to take, then I take back, and I take back while still attacking his queen. Um, but of course, I mean, okay, so this is what happened. He pushed the pawn here. Okay, so here is, I guess, some things to think about. Perhaps what I should have done is pushed b2 to b3. I was more so worried that it would cover my bishop line of sight. I really like this bishop line of sight. In fact, I mean, what was possible was the light squared bishop takes e6, and then if, I don't know, if f6 takes, then queen takes back check, and then I don't know what I could do further with that. But I mean, at the point of time of which I was thinking about this, queen was not there. So by bishop check, I was forking the king and the rook, and I could scoop up the rook for free. At least that was my thinking at the time. Anyway, by this time it was too late. I was also thinking, I mean, what I can do is push b4. But if I push b4, then he will think he will play en passant because well, I'm trying to pass his pawn, so obviously not very good. I decided instead I would just double up my queen. I'm looking to push my knight here next. What was also really tempting to do was push g5 to g6, but that was bad because then it gives the knight freedom to move out of his square. This pawn here is, well, here to prevent the knight moving to f6, which is obviously what I didn't want. So this guy is what I was like quite worried about, which, I mean, pushing g6 otherwise I think would be quite a strong move because it undermines the f7 pawn, which is the defender of e6. So whatever he does, I'm attacking f7. That's probably another reason for why he pushed bishop to e8 to defend f7. But I'm not sure if he realized that, you know, I can't push g6 because his knight would just come down to f6 and attack my queen. And frankly, I mean, I can just move my queen, but I don't really want to do that because, well, it's, to me, I have momentum and I don't want to lose that momentum by like wasting a move trying to move my queen. So for me, I'm like comfortable right now keeping my queen where it is and trying to get my inactive pieces active. Anyway, so he takes, yeah, that was obvious. Now I'm in a spot of trouble, which, I mean, if I go back, perhaps like castling was not a good idea. Perhaps instead I should have just taken and then follow that up with the rook to d8 and then just not castle at all. I mean, that's certainly possible, but and I have gotten away with winning games without castling. But generally, I think it's safer to still castle. So, I mean, even after castling, I think possibly if I had pushed b uh, b3, then even though it covers my light square bishop line, most likely following pushing b3, he would push a5, or maybe even push b4, looking to really attack my king side. If he pushes b4 and I take, now it's opened up a file, and then he can just do a rook cannon and just eye down on my king, on my queen side, where my king is. So that's obviously, I mean, the stuff that was going through my mind when I was thinking about pushing b3. But yeah, I mean, on top of that, if I had pushed b3, I can't really see how he can attack me without having to continue to push these pawns, and pushing these takes some time, and I think I'm further along the way than he is, in terms of the attack on his king. So yeah, when I did this is not exactly very good. Now it's a little concerning. I was thinking about king to b1. If king to b1, I was also considering maybe the queen to c5, threatening mate, of which then if I played bishop to b3, then he would just march these pawns down to kick my bishop. So obviously very, very bad. So instead of that, I decided I would try and run. Now this was bad as well. I mean, I'm not sure if there was a better way. After this, queen took d3, and I couldn't take back obviously because my pawn was pinned to the king. I moved my bishop out. This is something where I was expecting, you know, that was kind of forced because I'm trying to continue my diagonal on the king, but he can just push the pawn, just do a pawn march and then kick my bishop, get that bishop for free, and then continue to threaten mate, possibly even threaten getting another queen. But yeah, so obviously very, very bad. Okay, so I continue with this. I'm hoping that, you know, my attack on his king side will force him to actually stop attacking me and start focus on defending. He goes with check. Okay, this is potentially bad. I'm moving out. He can check me here. He can check me here as well. This position kind of sucks. Let's see what he did. Okay, rook check. Now this was kind of scary. It was scary because, let's see. If I went... Okay, so I obviously can't come down here. I can't go here either. That's where the queen is defending. Okay, so I only have two squares. I can go here or I can go here. If I go here, then queen check, well, actually, my bad. So it's not a good idea for him to do a queen check, because then the rook would take. My rook is attacking his queen right now. So, actually, okay. So this is something I failed to think of. I forgot my rook was attacking. So actually, I mean, this was possible, certainly possible. I was very worried that he would try and go for a queen swap, but it appears that my rook was defending. Anyway, I think I moved to e3. Let's see. Yeah. So moving to e3, his queen, of course, comes here with a check. And now I can run. So I'm traveling all the way to my king side. I'm planning on hiding out maybe around these two squares. That would be nice and ideal. And yeah, so he checks and I start running. Okay, so I don't know what his plan was with bringing the bishop here. My queen is obviously protecting this square, so I can't see what he was thinking about. Did he think he could somehow, I don't know, trap my queen? I mean, if this pawn wasn't here, what would be, I think, good would be pushing f5. If he pushed f5, well, actually, no. I have a check. That would be bad. I would take that and then take that. But, well, I don't know. The point was that this pawn now is significantly weakened, given I've lost my supporting d3 pawn. So this bishop line is really ironed down on my king. Obviously very bad. I decide, you know what, let's get rid of this ugly queen. And also by bringing this rook out, this rook is kind of inactive because clearly I can't push this pawn because my knight is hanging around here. I'm thinking actually instead of like doing a cannon and just having three nicely aligned rooks and my queen just ironed down on this square, and then having my king hang out in these squares in the corner. Okay, now here, just moving his queen here was a complete blunder. I think it was a mismove. I can't see what he was thinking about here. He was obviously supposed to move his queen to safety, but he screwed up. Anyway, at this point, I believe he resigned after I took, and yes, he did resign. But yeah, a really, I think, well, good game for me. But obviously you can see in terms of position, he was screwed from the middle game onwards. As soon as I took his pawn on h6 and he took back, he was screwed. Well, pretty much he was screwed when he castled kingside, actually, because that encouraged me to take h6. So everything for me was already set up for me to attack his kingside. I had aligned everything perfectly. I had 3 pieces that can easily join in the fun, and then I had a light square bishop that could just hang around for the entire game, given I pushed a2. So this was, for me, I think it was a well-played game. He had something when he pushed this pawn here. For me, I still can't think about if it would have been better for me to push b3. Perhaps it would have been. It definitely would have delayed his attack on my queen side because, well, the only way he could attack me is through continuing with the pawns. It's until you can get rid of these pawns that now you have an open file, and then you can, just line everything up and just continue to attack. Whereas, notice all his pieces, at least 3 of his pieces are inactive. The only pieces that he could really use are this rook, queen, and this bishop. And even then, this bishop is kind of useless as well, given its position. I think it was a very, very bad position for this guy. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed my analysis. Let me know if I missed anything. Otherwise,